Discarded to diamonds, Millionaire'S surprising date at engagement party reveals incredible truth. Emily Hart stood at the entrance of the sprawling estate, the golden glow of chandelier light spilling onto the marble steps. Inside, laughter mingled with the clinking of glasses, a melody of wealth that made her pulse race with a cocktail of excitement and dread. Who was she, a waitress with dreams that felt weighty as a stone on her chest, to step into a world of glamour and unattainable aspirations? This was an engagement party, not a place for someone like her, yet here she was, pulled by the gravity of nostalgia and the hope of escape. As she crossed the threshold, the grandeur swelled around her, drawing her further in. The silk dresses and polished shoes made her feel like an interloper in a dream she couldn't quite claim. Perhaps tonight would be different. Maybe, under the layers of pretense, she would find a sliver of the person she wanted to become. Yet doubt gnawed at her resolve, her thoughts racing in tandem with the pulse of the night. Every laugh, every toast felt like a reminder of the life she was supposed to be living, a life that felt perpetually out of reach. But still, she pushed on, filling her glass with the promise of temporary courage. Then she spotted Jack, Megan's older brother, fresh from Silicon Valley, a world she had only glimpsed in stories. He was effortlessly charming, a stark contrast to the frigid elite surrounding them. Their shared childhood memories spiraled back to the surface and wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, but as they chatted, the disparity in their lives flickered behind their laughter. His experiences were steeped in privilege, hers steeped in grit. In that moment, she confronted an uncomfortable truth. Could they really bridge this chasm? Her aspirations of law school felt silly alongside his tech-savvy accomplishments. Would it even matter if she succeeded at all? Just before she was about to spiral into self-doubt, an obnoxious voice pierced their bubble, a classmate, now draped in designer labels, mocking her for her job. The laughter that once felt like friendship turned harsh, cutting through her like ice. And then, against her expectation, Jack stepped forward, defending her with a sincerity that made her heart stutter. Surprise danced in her chest, igniting something hopeful amid the despair suffocating her. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. But the reprieve was fleeting. As the facade of camaraderie began to dissipate, Emily caught the tension in Jack's eyes. It was a battle between his family's expectations and the undeniable ease he felt in her presence. Here stood the old pains of class and worth, stark and unyielding. The flamboyance of the party felt suffocating in that moment, and she could feel the weight of his hesitations. Then, a gasp shattered the fragile air. Emily stumbled backward, held in place by a revelation so shocking it threatened to redefine her entire worldview. Hidden connections to a legacy as structured in marble as the estate around her suddenly danced in front of her eyes, causing her heart to race with fear and anticipation. Would this newfound truth draw Jack closer, or shove them further apart? The night trembled on the brink of transformation, yet the heart of her struggle loomed larger than ever. She was caught between the life she clung to and the identity that could alter everything. Amid the swirling chaos of laughter and whispers, she stood resolute yet paralyzed, teetering on the edge of an uncertain future. Emily's mind spun at the revelation, her heart drumming a frenetic rhythm as she grappled with the implications of what she had just uncovered. The world around her faded, the laughter and chatter morphing into a dull roar. All she could think about were the uncharted territories of possibility stretching out before her. It was as if someone had illuminated a hidden path through the darkness of her self-doubt. She needed to collect herself, to understand the truth that now unraveled in front of her. Was this newfound connection a bridge into a world that had always felt beyond her reach? Here was Jack, a tangible thread to her childhood, yet also a reality that threatened to ensnare her aspirations with its weight. Could she step into the light he represented, knowing it might cast shadows on who she was? Before she could spiral deeper into her thoughts, Jack's voice cut through her internal chaos. "Emily, are you okay?" His concern felt genuine, a foundation for something that had flickered to life between them. She hated how his sympathy caused her vulnerability to bubble to the top. "I'm fine," she replied too quickly, her voice betraying the tremor beneath her confidence. Yet, the lie felt hollow even to her own ears. Was she fine? The more she thought about her career, her ambitions doctored in the barriers of finances and knowledge, the more unsteady her footing became. Jack leaned in, his gaze searching hers, as if trying to unearth the turmoil she hid beneath a delicate facade. The flicker of determination that had ignited within her now turned hot, demanding she confront her truth. "You know," she said, embracing the boldness swelling within her, "this isn't just about us, is it? Diving deeper into what has been dragged out of the shadows can only mean one thing: I need to confront my destiny head-on." "You mean?" He hesitated, the question hanging in the air, tense with anticipation. "I need to know where I want to go, not just follow the path carved out for me." The idea felt liberating but terrifying, and for the first time, the weight of her dreams and her identity felt like two opposing forces rather than a single burden. She could choose to evolve. The uncertainty flickered in his eyes. "Just remember, it might change how people see you," he warned gently. It was a reminder that with every step into new territory, there were costs and consequences. Could she handle the isolation it might create, the judgment and expectations that came with crossing into a wider world? "I don't care how they see me anymore." The boldness in her voice surprised her. The time for playing small had passed. She had watched too many dreams slip away under the weight of fear and deprecation. She needed a plan, a strategy to assert her individuality without being overshadowed by the glittering abyss surrounding her. Jack looked impressed, his features softening. "Maybe we can figure this out together?" He offered an olive branch, and in that moment, Emily felt the chains of her past loosening. She had the potential to transform not just her own life but perhaps also Jack's perception of what mattered. The journey wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary. Just then, the music shifted, and the energy of the party changed, pulsing with a new vibe. Emily glanced around, catching the eyes of others who had already calculated their respective positions in the hierarchy of this world, the very world she contemplated breaking into. She held on to Jack's gaze, a new determination kindled within her. But even as hope burgeoned, a part of her questioned if she could truly break free. The stakes were painfully high, and everything felt precariously balanced. What if pushing forward only revealed more of what she truly lacked? Emily realized she stood at a crossroads. The moment of decision was on the horizon, and the first step loomed larger than life. Was she ready to confront the ghosts of her past and embrace the uncharted future ahead of her? The answer was swirling within her, but whether it would manifest in clarity or confusion remained to be seen. The question that would define her next move echoed within her: am I truly prepared to redefine who I am? Emily felt the weight of Jack's gaze, like a stark light illuminating both her fears and aspirations. Rationality clamored for a pause, but emotion surged, pushing her toward action. She could either retreat back into the comforting shadows of conformity or leap a leap that could redefine everything she believed about her potential. Today was not about regressing, it was a moment for evolution. "I need to write this down," she declared, half startling herself. She pulled out her phone, searching for an app she rarely used but felt suddenly compelled to employ. As she fumbled to open a blank document, Jack watched her, curious and tentative, adding to the intensity of the moment. "What are you going to write?" he asked. "Everything I want, what I actually want." "Clear goals," she responded, her fingers typing furiously as thoughts streamed through her mind. Each word became an affirmation, dispelling self-doubt and constructing a narrative of ambition. "I want to break into graphic design," she murmured, barely aware she spoke aloud. "I've been suppressing it for years, thinking it was too impractical. Jack leaned closer, his shoulder brushing against hers. "You're talented, Emily. You could thrive in that field." She felt a swell of warmth at his validation but quickly tempered it with self-critique. Talent meant nothing without action. "Yeah, but everyone around me expects." "Don't restrict yourself to what others expect," he interrupted, his voice steady and commanding. "That's the spirit you need to channel. You're not them." The anger and determination mingled within her, stirring up her core. She gazed at the empty digital space in front of her, and a vision shattered her hesitance. She could create. She could design. All those years sketching in notebooks, dreaming and simply surviving, why had she never allowed herself to see that dream as capable of being real? Emily gritted her teeth, thoughts racing. Every dream suffocated by practicality or conformity felt like an unforgivable betrayal of herself. Each unfulfilled yearning pushed deeper into her psyche, tracing scars across her ambition. "I'm going to take a class," she declared resolutely. "That's a great idea. Start small, build on it," Jack encouraged, his eyes shimmering with hope for her as if her ambition lit a flame in him too. She hesitated, doubt creeping back. "But what if I'm not good enough? What if I fail?" Jack took a calming breath, fully facing her, his expression unyielding. "What if you surprise yourself? You'll never know unless you start." The challenge resonated. In pursuing what ignited her passion, she couldn't afford to cling to the fear of failure. For every societal expectation that clashed with her desires, she felt a rebellious thrill. It wasn't about anyone else's perceptions, it was her truth to wield and mold. As the tempo of the music shifted again, Emily's heart pounded in sync with it. The night shifted into a kaleidoscope of opportunity, beckoning her to chase something real and substantial. Then it settled, she affirmed, her voice steady and confident. "I'll explore graphic design classes next week." Jack nodded, a satisfied smile spreading across his face. "I'll support you in that." But even within the excitement, a flutter of disquiet lingered. Could she genuinely fit into a world that seemed so foreign yet tantalizingly within reach? Embracing her true self could end friendships, perhaps even upend her life as she knew it. Yet, the enormity of what lay ahead excited her more than it terrified her. Caught in the chaotic ambience of the party, she felt moments slip through her fingers, lost in swirling uncertainty and desire. Everything hinged on the decision she now clutched tightly in her grasp. As winds of change heralded the inevitability of transformation, Emily glanced sideways at Jack, a question poised at the tip of her tongue. "What are you willing to risk to chase your dreams too?" The air around them crackled with anticipation, knowing their respective futures danced on the precipice of this choice. Jack hesitated slightly before answering, grounding them both in impending reality. The silent anticipation of discovery hung between them. What revelations awaited them on the path they dared to explore together? Emily stood amidst the pulsating energy of the party, but her mind danced elsewhere. The decision to pursue graphic design felt both exhilarating and terrifying, a bridge from her mundane existence to a pathway of potential. The screen of her phone blinked back at her, a constant reminder of the promise she had made to herself. "Are you ready for this?" she whispered to the digital document. Her heart raced with each thought, visions of her future colliding with her current reality. The gap between the two seemed vast and looming, a chasm that could either swallow her whole or elevate her to heights she had only gazed upon from afar. As they moved away from the crowd, Jack's presence anchored her. His easy confidence tethered her swirling anxieties. Yet a part of Emily remained hesitant, roots of doubt still clinging tightly as they ventured into the less vibrant hallways of the venue. What if I take a class and it's not what I expected? What if I fall flat on my face? Jack turned to her, the earnestness in his expression disarming. And what if you discover something incredible about yourself? You won't know unless you try. Remember why you want to do this. His words echoed in her mind, urging her to embrace the risk. Maybe it is about time I stop living for other people's expectations, she murmured, more to herself than to him. The thought burned within her a little brighter. Driven to explore more than just the safe confines of her job, the mundane tasks that had become routine, she started visualizing her aspirations transformed into tangible goals. As they stepped outside for some fresh air, the cool evening breeze filled her lungs, crisp and invigorating. "What would your dream design project look like?" Jack prompted, clearly attempting to draw her out further. Emily paused, contemplating. "Something vibrant and alive. Maybe, creating a campaign for an organization that empowers young artists. A platform where everyone can share their stories through art." She could feel it now, the gnawing hunger for creation, for impact. Art was not just about aesthetics, it was about connection and self-expression. Jack's face brightened with enthusiasm. "That sounds amazing. You need to reach out to local galleries or community centers. I bet there are tons of opportunities waiting for someone with your vision." With each word he spoke, the commitment to her dreams felt sturdier, fortified by a shared belief. "Are you really willing to help me figure this all out?" she challenged softly, testing the boundaries of their budding partnership. "Of course," he replied, the sincerity in his tone wrapping around her doubts like a warm blanket. "You don't have to do this alone." Suddenly, the reality of her decision crystallized. This was not just about taking a class, it was about stepping into a new identity. It was about crafting a life that sang with purpose. Yet along with the thrill came questions of authenticity. The fear of disappointing those who had built her identity, in contrast to the excitement of discovering herself, echoed in her mind. As she peered up at Jack, something flickered between them: understanding, an unspoken acknowledgement of the journey they were both daring to embark on. The line between friendship and something deeper began to blur, but Emily hesitated to chase that thought too far. There were layers of complexity, expectations, and potential pitfalls. Jack interrupted her racing thoughts. "So what's next for you?" "Next?" A nervous grin crept onto her face. "I need to research classes, find a mentor, maybe begin networking." He nodded, eyes sparkling with encouragement. "You'll do great, Emily. Just remember to be patient with yourself. Growth takes time." They stood together, illuminated by the overhead lights, the allure of the night still alive around them, yet a quiet serenity settled on her shoulders. The exhilaration of uncertainty mingled with hope. "What about you, Jack?" she asked, pulling him into the moment. "What are you aiming to achieve?" His expression shifted, grappling with the question. "Maybe I need to take stock of what I really want. This job, it's stable, but what if you don't want to settle either?" The weight of his potential hung in the air. The question lingered, full of promise yet fraught with tension. She could sense he was at a crossroads too, the same way she had been just moments before. Perhaps their paths were meant to intertwine further than they had ever considered, leading to discoveries neither had anticipated. "Let us make a deal," he said, his tone now lighter. "We chase our dreams together." Emily felt a surge of excitement. But as quickly as this exhilaration came, uncertainty knotted in her stomach. What would it mean for their friendship to evolve, if indeed they ventured into the unknown side by side? And so, two determined souls lingered, standing on the precipice of change, their aspirations balancing precariously with newfound dreams. As she caught his gaze, a flurry of emotions danced between them. What does it mean to truly support each other when we both want to take risks? Unbeknownst to them, the answer would soon emerge in ways that neither could predict. The following morning, the sun poured through Emily's window, warm and golden, illuminating the remnants of her late-night reflections. It was as if the universe conspired to fill the voids of her uncertainty with light. She swung her legs over the side of the bed, heart racing with anticipation. Today would mark the turning point, the moment she took her future into her own hands. After a hasty breakfast, she flipped through her phone, fingers itching to connect with possibilities. Each tap on the screen felt like a step into the unknown, a calculated leap toward a dream that had once simmered quietly in the background of her life. With determination gripping her chest, she settled on a specific avenue, finding classes in graphic design. Minutes turned into hours as she immersed herself in research, typing keywords into search engines and scrolling through endless listings. Each program presented a new sliver of hope, but also a nagging voice whispered doubts in her ear. What if they were out of reach? What if her skills weren't enough? Taking a deep breath, she shut her eyes for a moment, seeking clarity. In that stillness, she counted the affirmations Jack had given her the night before, the promise of support, the reminder that growth takes time, the spark of excitement in their shared dreams. Resolute, she opened her eyes and made her first call. At first, her voice wavered as she introduced herself, but with every word, she began to breathe life into her ambitions. The person on the other end of the line was warm and inviting, eager to share information about a local community college offering a prerequisite course in design fundamentals. After hanging up, Emily reveled in the rush of agency. The mere act of taking initiative was a victory in its own right. Over the next few days, a newfound energy enveloped her. Each completed task fueled her appetite for growth. Emily enrolled in the course, signed up for workshops, and researched local design mentors. Yet with each accomplishment came an undercurrent of anxiety, a persistent question: were these efforts enough? She found herself settling into a routine of late-night sketches, frantic research sessions, and an ever-evolving portfolio that she nurtured like a fragile seedling poised to bloom. Yet her burgeoning confidence faced an immediate test. During one evening at a local cafe designed for creatives, she spotted a flyer for a nearby gallery exhibiting student work. Without thinking, she ripped it off the board, excitement coursing through her veins. She had to showcase her own pieces. But anticipation quickly frayed at the edges of her enthusiasm. The idea of displaying her art filled her with dread. What if no one showed up? What if her work didn't resonate? Her mind spiraled into a storm of insecurities, reminiscent of the uncertainty that had plagued her before this journey began. Recounting Jack's support grounded her amidst the turmoil. She texted him eagerly, spilling her thoughts about the gallery. His response was immediate: "That's amazing, Em. You need to submit. I'll be there, you know I will. Just go for it. You deserve this." Feeling emboldened by his faith in her, Emily began to craft a piece intended for the exhibition. This work would embody her journey, a visual narrative of stepping from shadows into light. As she painted, she tapped into the exhilaration that had drawn her to art in the first place, the possibility of connection, expression, and authenticity. But as she added the final strokes, doubt began to creep back in. Was this portrayal good enough? Her brush faltered, hesitating above the canvas as her mind grappled with the potential judgment of others. "Focus," she murmured to herself, her eyes trained on the work before her. "You're not doing this for them. You're doing this for you." In that moment, she recognized a fundamental truth. Her art wasn't merely about public perception, it was a reflection of her evolving self, a story of transformation from a life lived under the weight of expectations to one guided by personal passion. With renewed vigor, Emily finalized her piece. What was once fear transformed into raw creation, and she felt the thrill of a heartbeat pulsing through her artwork. As the deadline approached, another lingering question shadowed her spirit: could she truly embrace this opportunity, regardless of the outcome? Could she face the fear of vulnerability and emerge stronger on the other side? The day came when she would submit her work. As she entered the gallery, emotions coursed through her. She felt both exhilarated and terrified, the tension between anticipation and self-doubt was palpable. The scent of fresh paint filled the air, mingling with purpose. She scanned the room, from the walls adorned with vibrant displays to the clusters of artists sharing their own stories. Suddenly, she realized she wasn't just a novice stepping into a gallery, she was a part of a mosaic, a collective expression of passion and courage. As she prepared to submit her piece, a new query struck her with electrifying intensity: would she allow her journey to be defined by her efforts, or by the fears she held onto so tightly? Standing at the threshold, she took a deep breath, willing to step through the door and embrace whatever came on the other side. And in that uncertain moment, the true question emerged. A revelation of self awaited her, waiting to unfold with each brushstroke of her metamorphosis. The gallery was alive with a vibrant energy, artists mingling with patrons, laughter intermingling with the conversations of curiosity about the displayed artworks. Emily stood just inside the entrance, her heart pounding. This was her moment to step into the spotlight. She could feel the warmth of the excitement but also the chill of self-doubt. Each conversation she half-heard felt like a reminder of her perceived limitations. Was she truly an artist? Or was she just a hopeful dreamer masquerading in the realm of professionals? She gripped the strap of her bag, attempting to anchor herself. The world seemed to spin around her, a whirlwind filled with noise, color, and potential, yet she remained at its fringes. Finally, mustering her courage, she drifted toward the wall where her piece hung right near the entrance, her own bold declaration woven on canvas. It displayed swirls of color fighting their way through layers of darkness. It symbolized her journey, a struggle for balance amidst chaos. Yet, standing there, she couldn't help but wonder if it would resonate with anyone else. "Your piece is stunning," a voice broke through her thoughts, jolting her. A slender woman with striking arched eyebrows and dark hair stood before her, a small group of admirers gathered slightly behind. "Its depth feels so personal." Emily's cheeks flushed. Those words didn't just validate her work, they pierced through her insecurities, igniting something within her. "Thank you. I wanted to express the journey I've been on." "And you've succeeded," the woman said, her voice steady and assured. "Have you considered showcasing more of your work? I'm part of a collective looking for fresh talent. You'd fit right in." The woman's offer swirled around Emily, crashing into her like a wave of overwhelming possibilities. Had this stranger really just invited her to join a collective? The thrill of opportunity wrestled with the old, familiar tendrils of doubt creeping back into her mind. She opened her mouth to respond but found no words. They hung caught in a web of questions. What if she wasn't good enough? What if she failed again? "Take the chance," the woman urged gently, as if reading Emily's thoughts. "This industry thrives on audacity, on taking risks. You have something to say, and people need to hear it." Emily watched as the woman moved on, leaving her with a heaviness that morphed into a burning desire. The collective seemed like a door ajar, beckoning her to step through. But fear dug in its claws, whispering louder than any encouragement. What if she joined, only to discover she wasn't as talented as she thought? What if, in pursuit of an artistic career, she risked everything and still fell short? As she stood there wrapped in conflicting emotions, a familiar face approached. Jack wove through the crowd, his eyes sparkling with pride. "There you are. I couldn't wait to find you," he exclaimed. He glanced over to her piece, a grin breaking across his face. "You did it, Em. It's incredible." His enthusiasm swelled her spirits momentarily, but the nagging uncertainty lingered. "Thank you, but I don't know if I can pursue more. What if I fail?" Jack's expression shifted into something serious and thoughtful. "Emily, you need to embrace the journey, the possibility of growth. Success is just one part of the process. The real treasure lies in whether you allow yourself to explore and take risks. You've already taken the first step. Isn't that what this is all about?" His words resonated within her like a mantra, prompting a mental shift as fresh waves of desire and ambition crashed against the shores of doubt. With renewed resolve, Emily took another look at her painting. It didn't have to be perfect, it just had to be hers. A promise to herself bubbled to the surface that she would no longer let fear dictate her creative path. As the night unfolded, she spent more time engaging with other artists, initiating conversations, and discovering paths carved by risk-takers just like her. Each interaction peeled back layers of her apprehension, revealing glimpses of confidence she hadn't known existed. Yet, despite the thrill of newfound connections and possibilities, the weight of an unmade decision lingered. Would she take that step toward the collective, even in the face of uncertainty? Would she reshape her path now, at this crossroads? The gallery started to hum with a deeper energy as she drifted amidst creative souls, still unsettled by her unvoiced answer. In that moment, crystallizing in her mind was the realization that to embrace her artistry was to confront her deepest fears. She would soon have to decide if the risk of creating belonged to her, whether she would allow her narrative to unfold under the weight of her aspirations rather than surrendering to lingering fears. With everything aligned for a shift within her, Emily realized, the time had come to face the truth behind her hesitation. The moment would demand she push through her self-imposed boundaries, or risk living forever in the shadows of what could have been. The vibrant hum of the gallery enveloped Emily, a backdrop to the turmoil of thoughts spiraling within her. She could hear snippets of laughter and the sounds of glasses clinking, yet the cacophony faded into a dull roar as her internal dialogue raged on. The encounter with the woman lingered like a fresh bruise, both exhilarating and painful. Why was it so difficult to embrace an opportunity that could catalyze her personal evolution? She found herself drawn to a small group huddled around an abstract piece that mimicked her own struggles. Their animated discourse seemed to be an exploration of fragmented identities, and she realized it resonated directly with her own journey. She hesitated on the periphery, curiosity battling with the instinct to retreat once again. Why not start small? She murmured to herself, a timid strategy emerging. Perhaps she could showcase a few smaller works before committing to the collective. Testing the waters sounded both manageable and less intimidating. Then she caught Jack's gaze across the room, and his encouraging smile sent a ripple of reassurance through her. No, this was not the moment for hesitation. She needed to own her narrative. She had the choice to wait for the perfect moment or to create one through bold action. Summoning resolve, Emily ventured toward another painter, a caricature artist whose style vibrated with a whimsical energy. His laughter danced through the air, and as she approached, he immediately welcomed her with open arms. Love your piece, by the way. Have you considered an illustrated narrative? What do you mean? Emily felt a seed of intrigue sprout at the thought. The artist explained how he had combined storytelling with caricature in previous exhibitions, creating layers of meaning beyond the surface. Could she weave narratives through her paintings? The idea bloomed with possibility, illuminating paths she hadn't previously explored. Suddenly, the weight of her doubts felt lighter, as if potential was transforming the heaviness into something tangible. She began perceiving her struggles not as weaknesses but as rich tapestries to be unfurled. Emily engaged in deep dialogue with the artist, her inquiries vibrant, her responses more confident. For the first time that night, she felt part of a creative ecosystem. Yet, as the excitement-infused energy coursed through her, a shadow of trepidation still lingered. Would pursuing this direction render her too vulnerable? What if her narratives fell flat? This was where fear attempted to grasp hold, armed with projections of failure from her past. She could not unsee the echoes of rejection reverberating in her thoughts, haunting her ambitions. Stepping away from the conversation, Emily sought refuge by her painting. It shimmered in the gallery lights, a reflection of her struggles but also a mirror of her potential. She allowed herself to indulge in a moment of introspection. Could she infuse her upcoming artworks with the stories that lived inside her? What if this route became not just a method of expression, but a bridge connecting her deeper self to the outside world? The thrill of contemplating new possibilities was intoxicating, fueling an ever-increasing desire to break free from her self-imposed limitations. Emboldened, she sought out a quieter corner of the gallery. She pulled out her sketchpad, and the act of drawing breathed life into her anxieties. As swirling concepts translated to paper, she felt the walls enclosing her begin to crumble. Each stroke was like an affirmation, a bold proclamation of her existence, bursting forth from confinement. But the clock ticked on, and soon the gallery would be closing. Would she approach the woman from earlier and express her interest in the collective? Was she ready for such a public step toward unveiling her vulnerability? The very thought ignited a fire within her chest, stirring both excitement and panic. In that moment of realization, Emily understood this was where genuine growth awaited, at the crossroads between fear and courage. It was time to confront what lay ahead, rather than dwell on what had kept her stagnant. Determined, she stepped back into the mingling crowd, her heart racing with the urgency of possibility. Each face seemed to mirror her own struggle, each conversation an invitation to confidently make her mark. If she wanted her art to resonate, she would need to take the very leap she had been resisting. The stakes had never felt higher, but neither had the promise of what her future could hold. As she searched the crowd for the woman, a surge of adrenaline filled her veins, a commitment to turn the page and leave the specter of doubt in her wake. It was time to embrace her identity as an artist, but the question licked at her heels: could she really summon the courage to confront this opportunity head-on? With a deep breath bolstering her next step, Emily vowed to step forward and weave together her aspirations with the fabric of urgency. The dance with her fears was just beginning. Emily scanned the room, her heart thundering in her chest as she searched for the woman from earlier. The crowd shifted like an ocean current around her, layers of chatter and laughter combined into a symphony of energy that both invigorated and overwhelmed her. She had never felt this sense of possibility before, yet it danced dangerously close to the precipice of self-doubt. Would they even want her? The question crept in, weaving itself through her resolve as she shifted from foot to foot. It had become easier to retreat into her bubble of comfort, cocooned in the safety of her own space, where the risk of rejection was an abstract thought rather than a tangible reality. But tonight was different. This was her moment, a chance not just to be seen but to truly share her experience. Unexpectedly, she spotted the woman, a vibrant figure, engrossed in conversation with an artist whose work Emily admired. The woman's laughter rang out like a clear bell, beckoning a warmth that seemed to challenge the chill of Emily's uncertainty. She took a breath, steeling herself, as she considered the distance between hesitation and action. What would it mean to her to reach out? What might she gain from that connection? With slow, deliberate steps, Emily began to navigate the room. Each movement felt monumental, laden with the weight of her fear. Still, with each passing moment, a glimmer of determination pushed her forward. Why had she spent so long allowing fear to dictate her actions? What if this was the moment that defined her, not just as an artist, but as a woman ready to embrace her most authentic self? Finally, she reached the small group, her palms slick against the sketchpad she held tightly to her chest. "Excuse me," she interrupted gently, attention drawn to the woman. "I'm Emily. I wanted to say how inspiring your work sounds. I'm hoping to join the collective you mentioned." The woman turned, her expression brightening at the introduction. "Oh, Emily. I've heard great things about you. You should definitely be part of it." A spark ignited in Emily's chest, warmth spreading through her like the first rays of dawn after a long night. Choosing to seize the moment, she shared her desire to blend narratives into her art. Words flowed more easily than she anticipated, flowing like brush strokes across a canvas. As she spoke, the initial apprehension melted away, replaced by a thrill of possibility. The woman listened intently, nodding, reflecting an understanding that felt almost electrifying. "How does that resonate with your experience as an artist?" she inquired, leaning in, eyes keen and curious. Emily paused, suddenly struck by the question's depth. It was not just the act of creation that mattered but the experiences that formed the heart of her artistic voice. Threads of her past, her loneliness, moments of rejection, all transformed into a tapestry rich with emotion and raw truth. The realization swept through her, illuminating the path forward. "I've always shied away from vulnerability," Emily admitted, her voice steady despite an involuntary quiver of uncertainty. "But I think allowing that exposure could make my art more authentic." It was a candid admission, but something fierce and determined surged within her, urging her to be open. The woman smiled knowingly, her approval igniting a new wave of confidence in Emily. That's the essence of true art, revealing those hidden aspects of ourselves. If you allow your pain and joy to fuel your creativity, you'll create something not just meaningful but transformative. In that instant, the fear that once crowded her mind began to dissipate. The path forward seemed flooded with light, and Emily grasped that she wasn't merely stepping into a collective, she was stepping into a new phase of her life where her truth mattered. The ongoing conversations around them drifted like whispers, but all Emily could hear was the thundering pulse of her dreams coming to life. As the gallery lights began to dim, a part of her hesitated. What awaited beyond this moment? The depth of her journey felt virtually endless, and each awakening possibility clawed at her soul with desperation. Stepping back, she brushed against a canvas her painting, still glowing amidst the fading chaos. With newfound urgency, she scanned the room once more, a map unfolding before her eyes. What steps would she take next? It struck her, beyond this night lay a sweeping landscape of striving and evolving, each choice a brushstroke revealing yet another layer of her identity. Yet, as excitement brewed within, a question loomed: what deeper truths would her art reveal about her life, and with each upcoming canvas, would she dare to bare her soul completely? The soft murmur of conversations faded as Emily stepped away from the small group, her heart still racing with exhilaration. She could feel the lingering warmth from the woman's approval wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. Had she truly taken that leap, casting aside her hesitations? The electric pulse of possibility continued to resonate within her, igniting a mixture of hope and trepidation that swirled through her mind. Yet as she moved further into the gallery, a flicker of doubt began to surface. What if she had misread the situation? What if the initial spark of interest dimmed under the scrutiny of reality? The specters of her past, the missed opportunities, the discarded dreams loomed like shadows, threatening to extinguish the light she had finally glimpsed. Pushing through the hesitance, Emily found herself at her painting, an abstract piece that had been a labor of love. Standing before it, she examined each brushstroke, each layer suggesting complexity she often found hard to access. The colors shone brightly, vibrant swirls echoing the turmoil and joy of her own journey. She had poured so much of herself into this work, and yet, there was a latent fear that her vulnerability might not translate effectively to the viewer. Could she distill her experiences into her art, or would she simply reveal too much? The question nagged at her, trying to worm its way back into her consciousness. "Your work is mesmerizing," a voice interrupted her thoughts, breaking through the haze of uncertainty. It was the woman who had spoken to her earlier, her eyes bright with sincerity. What's the story behind it? Emily turned, gathering her breath and resolve. This piece reflects my journey through loneliness and connection. It's messy and chaotic, much like life, but it's also filled with beauty. The woman's gaze softened as she observed Emily's earnestness. "You've captured that perfectly. It feels alive, as if it's breathing." Emily's heart swelled. There was something liberating about sharing the meanings behind her work, shedding the layers of doubt that had long clung to her. In unveiling her truth, she at once confronted her fears and embraced her vulnerability. "What if I want to explore deeper themes? Even darker ones?" she confessed, her voice trembling slightly as she spoke. "I fear my audience might reject them." True resonance often comes from confronting the darker aspects of human experience, the woman replied thoughtfully. Art offers a space for catharsis, not just for the creator but for the viewer as well. Don't shy away from the darker shades in your palette. Her words stirred something within Emily. Here was a challenge, not just to create but to delve into the depths of her being and to construct narratives that reflected the full spectrum of existence. The thought both thrilled and scared her. What revelations awaited if she chose to be honest to the core? As they continued to discuss techniques and inspiration, Emily felt each conversation peel away further layers of insecurities. With every exchanged idea, she became more emboldened, realizing that authenticity could be her strongest tool. Yet, amid those swift currents of newfound confidence, a question began to simmer: would this resolve endure when met with criticism? What would happen when she opened the door to deeper truths only to find them met with disdain? As the gallery buzz grew richer around her, Emily recognized the urgency for her growth. The walls she had built were eroding, revealing a path that beckoned her to traverse territories of both risk and reward. She could no longer afford to retreat. But that inner voice, once a whisper, now roared, asking what walls she needed to bring down next. And as Emily stepped closer to her next challenge, she felt an impending moment approaching. She sensed that the road ahead would be fraught with demands for more than mere art. This path could lay bare her essence, raw and unfiltered. An exhilarating peril awaited her. And yet, could she truly expose herself and the depths of her vulnerability without losing the very fabric of who she was? Emily stood on the precipice of her aspirations, feeling the cool brush of the night air as she stepped into the unfolding narrative of her life. No longer did she tremble beneath the weight of insecurity. Instead, she embraced the electric thrill coursing through her veins. The gallery, once a daunting backdrop, transformed into a canvas of opportunity. Each face around her reflected stories, struggles, and triumphs, elements she now recognized as threads of her own vibrant tapestry. The decision to pursue graphic design had been just the beginning. Emerging from self-doubt, she had transformed her dreams into clear objectives, meticulously plotting her course through the complexities of artistic expression. That commitment to evolution fused with purpose, each brushstroke emboldening her identity, weaving a narrative that was both raw and unfiltered. And now, with every conversation exchanged at the gallery, Emily felt the energy shift from trepidation to resolve. She had become an architect of her destiny, the cracks in her previous limitations transforming into bold strokes of opportunity. Encouraged by the promise of acceptance, she recognized the significance of authenticity. The question now settled squarely on her shoulders: how much of herself would she be willing to reveal? When the woman from earlier approached again, asking not only to showcase her work but to explore deeper, sometimes darker themes, Emily's heart raced at the thought. What if her truth resonated profoundly with others? What if, through embracing her vulnerabilities, she could forge a connection that transcended artistic boundaries? It was exhilarating and terrifying. As she engaged in robust conversations, both in the gallery and later during sketch sessions, Emily discovered the power of storytelling through art. The canvas was no longer just a surface but a portal into her psyche, an exploration of light and shadow, pain and healing. This transformative journey carved a new direction, compelling her to confront not just the idealized version of herself, but the multifaceted intricacies of her existence. Week by week, her resolve solidified. She enrolled in multiple classes, surrounding herself with creative thinkers who fueled her ambition. Workshops became her sanctuary, each one a crucible for her burgeoning skills, her artistic voice growing louder with practice. The fear of inadequacy once kept her locked away. Now, the fear served as a catalyst for authenticity. The moment she began documenting her experiences, her artistic style proliferated, mirroring her inner metamorphosis. By the time her first piece for the collective was due, her skills had sharpened, her narrative refined. She poured herself into that canvas, sending raw emotion sprawling into vibrant colors, a manifestation of hope layered with the struggles she had faced. The opening night for the collective arrived, casting a magical ambience over the gallery filled with aspiring artists and curious patrons. Emily stood by her work, taking in the reactions, the moments of contemplation etched across faces. This was validation, but more importantly, it was an affirmation of her journey, her willingness to embrace the complexities of vulnerability. When someone approached her, tears brimming in their eyes, and said, "Your piece resonated with me more than I can articulate," she recognized a pivotal moment. There it was, the connection she had long sought, authenticity bridging chasms of isolation. In that exchange, Emily found a deeper purpose. She wasn't merely creating art, she was forging emotional connections. Fear had once dictated her life like a relentless shadow, but now it flickered behind her, transformed into a source of fuel, a reminder of what was worth fighting against. The culmination of those months culminated in a deep sense of accomplishment. Exposure and vulnerability birthed strength and clarity, allowing her to reforge the narrative of her life. She had transformed from a singular dreamer into a multidimensional artist, unafraid of the depths of her story. As she stepped outside, taking a deep breath of the cool night air, she understood that she no longer needed to hide behind anyone else's expectations. Standing tall, she saw a future rife with potential, embellished with her power to shape it. She had achieved the integration of her identity as an artist, she had reached a symbiotic relationship with her fears, turning them into canvases painted with promise instead of peril. Tonight marked a new chapter not just as Emily Hart, the woman who aspired to more, but as Emily Hart, the accomplished artist unafraid to showcase the intricate, beautiful tapestry of her life. And as the stars glittered above her, the next steps glimmering ahead, a new mantra filled her spirit, echoing through her journey: I am enough. I am worthy. I will continue to create and grow. Now, it's time for you to take action. You need to subscribe now to the channel to be part of this journey of personal growth. Don't wait even one more second. Leave a like to feed the algorithm so we can share these transformative stories with even more people. And I demand you comment below with your thoughts on Emily's journey or any theories you might have. Lastly, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support for stories of resilience and transformation.